I think that I should take the fact that I wasn't experiencing any soreness while performing these front squats in this session as a positive sign and one of progress, really. In here, as opposed to last week where I did 3 sets of, I think, 5-4-4, I was doing 3 sets of 6. And I don't think that the technique was any worse. I wasn't feeling it in my quads as much as last week. That's true, but I am looking at this and I was looking at the previous sets from last week and I didn't really notice any meaningful difference, at least. I did feel good engagement in the quads throughout these reps. The only thing is that it made such a stark difference from last week that it weirded me out a bit. But when I'm looking at these repetitions here, I am noticing maybe that there is a slight pop of the heels. I guess that standing on these little plates to give me a bit of a heel elevation is not ideal, or at least is not as good as it would be wearing squat shoes. But apart from the odd rep here and there where I was maybe shifting the load was felt a bit more in the front of the foot. I think that all these reps were performed with good technique and a decent tempo where I was controlling the reps all the way throughout. As far as the hanging leg raises are concerned, I am really feeling that this is a much easier exercise to perform with the dumbbell in between the feet. There was a component of having to squeeze the legs together when I was holding that plate between my feet, which made the exercise much harder, but at the same time probably it engaged a bit more of the adductor, so you give some and you lose some. Looking at this visual from the side, I am happy with the technique here. I was able to keep the weight almost in line with the mid of the foot, and there is good depth in here. I'm able to keep my knees nice and forward on the way up, which is something that in the past I have been struggling sometimes, mainly with the back squat. With the front squat, it wasn't as easy because the weight is already in front, so it's easier to load those quads, especially with the heel elevation. Moving on to the approach jumps on the box, and they did not really feel that much different from the last week. Maybe there is a slight less knee bend on the way up. Maybe they were slightly more comfortable than the ones performed last week. I still feel like I have not yet found the right distance where I can get a few quick steps in to build some acceleration and then explode into the penultimate step. But what I was noticing is that the block step was coming a bit more quickly, so maybe that's something that was contributing to me feeling these slightly on the easier side compared to last week. The pullovers already passed by, and I kept the slightly arched back, where I'm feeling a bit more of an engagement in the lats at the bottom of the range of motion when they're fully stretched. But I do remember this set of push-ups here because after 20, I was really tired, or at least I was really feeling them. So the last 5 reps, they were basically just an exercise in sheer will, where I had to get 25 no matter what. But it did take quite a while. I sped the whole thing up because I was resting for a few seconds in between the last 5 reps. And then I went on to bicep drag curls where I was pulling 5 extra kilos. This is a bar with 35 and it's the heaviest of these bars with the preloaded weight. I went up to over 10 reps, so they felt good. Didn't feel too heavy, especially after I've done the pullovers and the push-ups. And the last set of jumps just passed by, very similar to the first one. Still need to find the proper positioning, and hopefully I managed to find that sooner rather than later. Ciao.